Alright, we're back, and per Diabetes' level condition, I have to name all Robot Masters with weaknesses and weapons and shit like that. So let's get started. Ooh, Mega Man 1, Cutman, weakness Super Arm, weapon Rolling Cutter, which is Electman's weakness, whose weapon is Thunder Beam, which is Iceman's weakness, whose weapon is Ice Slasher, which is Fireman's weakness, whose weapon is Firestorm, which is Bombman's weakness, which is Hyper Bomb, which is Gutsman's weakness, which is Super Arm, which is Cutman's weakness. Oh my god, that was in one breath. Mega Man 2. Metal Man weapon, Metal Blade, weakness, Metal Blade. Flashman's weakness is, which is also Flashman's weakness, whose weapon is Time Stopper, which is Quickman's weakness, whose weapon is Quick Boomerang, which is Bubbleman's weakness, his weakness is also Metal Blade, whose weapon is Buttable Lead, which is Heatman's weakness, and his weapon is Atomic Fire, which is Woodman's weakness, and also his weakness is Metal Blade, and his weapon is Leaf Shield. Vegastar is sitting next to me being a bitch saying he doesn't know me. Airman's weakness is Leaf Shield, and his weapon is the Air Shooter. Yes, I'm in the middle of a coffee shop. Who gives a shit? Crashman's weakness is the Air Shooter, and his weapon is the Crash Bombs. Mega Man 3, Hardman's weakness is Magnet Missile, and his weapon is the Hard Knuckle, which is Topman's weakness, whose weapon is Top Spin, which is Shadowman's weakness, whose weapon is Shadow Blade, which is Sparkman's weakness, whose weapon is Spark Shock, which is Magnet Man's weakness, whose weapon is Magnet Missile, and it goes back to Hardman. Mega Man 3 has a split, 4-on-4. So there is Snake Man, whose weakness is Needle Cannon, whose weapon is Surge Snake, which is Gemini's weakness, whose weapon is Gemini Laser, which is Needle Man's weakness, whose weapon is Needle Cannon. Mega Man 4, Dive Man's weakness is Skull Barrier. And his weapon is Dive Missile, Drill Man's weakness, which is Drill Man's weakness, whose weapon is Drill Bomb, which is Toad Man's weakness, whose weapon is Rain Flush, which is Bright Man's weakness, whose weapon is Flash Stopper, like Mega Man 2, which is Pharaoh Man's weakness, whose weapon is Pharaoh Shot, which is Ring Man's weakness, whose weapon is Ring Boomerang, which is Dust Man's weakness, whose weapon is Dust Crusher, Skull Man's which is Skull Man's weakness, whose weapon is Skull Barrier. Mega Man 5. Gravity Man's weakness is Star Crash, and his weapon is Gravity Hold, which is Gyro Man's weakness, whose weapon is Gyro Attack, which is Crystal Man's weakness, whose weapon is Crystal Lie, which is Napalm Man's weakness, which is weapon Napalm Bomb. Whew. Which is Stone Man's weakness, whose weapon is Power Stone, which is Charge Man's weakness. Oh my god, I fucking hate you, Vegastar. Which is Charge Man's weakness, whose weapon is Charged Kick, which is Wave Man's weakness, and his weapon is Water Wave, which is Star Man's weakness, and his weapon is Star Crash. Mega Man, god, fuck you, Vegastar, fuck you and your fucking straws. Which, Mega Man, oh Christ. Mega Man 7, Cloud Man's weakness is Danger Wrap, and his weapon is Thunderbolt, which is Junk Man's weakness, whose weapon is Junk Shield, which is Freeze Man's weakness, whose weapon is Freeze Cracker, which is Burst Man's weakness, and his weapon is Danger Wrap. Slash Man's weakness is also Freeze Cracker, and also Scorch Reel. And his weapon is Slash Claw. Spring Man's weakness is Wild Coil. Shade Man's weakness, and his weapon is Noise Crush. Turbo Man's weakness is the Noise Crush, and his weapon is Scorch Reel. Mega Man 8. Aquaman Man's weakness is Acid Crush, and his weapon is Water Balloon. Swordsman weakness, which is Swordsman's weakness, and his weapon is Flame Sword, which is Frostman's weakness, and his weapon is Ice Wave, which is Tenko Man's weakness, and his weakness is... oh. God, what is his weapon? Shit. Tornado Hold, that's what it is. Which is Cloud's Man weakness, and his weapon is Thunderclaw, which is Grenade's Man weakness, and his weapon is Flash Bomb. No one's weak to Flash Bomb, but Search Man's weakness is also Flame Sword, and his weapon is Homing Sniper, which is Astro Man's weakness, and his weapon is Astro Crush. Mega Man X. Chill Penguin's weakness is Fire Wave, and his weapon is Shotgun Knife, which is Spark Man's weakness. He doesn't want me to do Mega Man and Base. Shut up, Vegastar. Oh boy. Yeah, his weapon is Electric Spark, which is Armored Up. His weapon is Rolling Shield, which is